Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and welcome back to the first Christmas series of 2018 for me, and this is day 3. So day 3, we're going to step it up just a little bit. We're going to do some embossing, and we are going to use glitter and glue, and we're going to doodle, so this should be fun. So Rubber Stamp Tapestry has recently had a release, and if you've seen previous videos, you know I absolutely love their peg stamps. And I'm also going to show the Arteza glitter set. There are 48 colors in this set. Now, I'm not a huge glitter person, but for me, this set is perfect. It gives me lots of color choices, the difference in the color values. It gives me regular colors. It gives me the metallics. It gives me the neons. Now, I've put them in this order, and I also created the tops. So all I did was use a double-sided adhesive, a very strong double-sided adhesive that I have in my stash. I put that down onto a piece of cardstock. I then punched out circles. I then used large glue dots to put them on the top. I peeled off the protective adhesive covering, and then I put on some of the glitter and rubbed it on. So that's how I created those toppers, and you can see those were the pieces that I had. It's very simple. No, I did not video it. So, but you can see, just punch, adhesive, glitter. But back to Rubber Stamp Tapestry as well. I'm going to first cut my panel out using a stitch rectangle die from my stash. I am also, yes, Tim Holtz did it again with his Christmas release. I own it, yes. And one of these is just the sentiments, and they are vintage. And that's one of the things that I love most of the Tim Holtz creations and Stampers Anonymous, the vintage feel, because it truly is the vintage feel. And that is one of my classics. And I just put my own spin to them using the updated colors. So I wanted this Christmas greetings that just goes straight across the cardstock. I'm going to use my gold heat embossing powder, and I'm going to heat set that with my heat tool. So very simple so far. Now, once that's melted, we're going to go into the peg stamps. Now, remember, the Rubber Stamp Tapestry has created these, and they are just phenomenal. They are, no, they're not huge stamps, but they are perfect for everything, whether it's a card, whether it's a tag, whether it's a place setting. These stamps are perfect. Now, I'm also going to pull in another set, a previous release set. So the one that I'm using now is Hello Mistletoe. And again, it's from their new release. You're going to be seeing a bunch of stuff from their new release, which is awesome. So I've pulled out my very large Zig 2-way glue. I do this technique on rubber stamps. I will try it on a clear stamp, but I mainly look for my rubber stamps to do this. So I figured the peg stamps were perfect. I put a little bit of glue on the stamp. I tap it down onto a scratch piece of paper. I'm going to make sure that I know where my registry line is, so that when I place it down, the image is going to be placed correctly. I'm then going to pull in the glue, or excuse me, the glitter, and put that right on top of the glue while it's still wet. I don't want to wait for this to dry. You can, but then you're using a foil or something else. I do like to put my glitter on when the glue is still wet, and this will show you because it'll be blue. But since I'm tapping it off, once I get it onto the stamp, it is very faint to see. So the camera's not going to pick this up. Now again, I'm not worried about the detail. I just want the image of these ornaments along the bottom. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to use all kinds of colors. I use blue, red, pink, some gold, some silver, some greens, because that kit, let's face it, there's 48 colors. So you've got a great selection when it comes to that. And again, if you're not a glitter person, I'm not. But I do like to use it sometimes, but I just don't want mass quantities because I'll never go through it. But I also believe that this is one of the items that is always in our stash, just like sequins, that grows upon itself and migrates and grows and embellishes itself on its own. It's amazing. You never run out. So, just a little side bit ramble there. Back to the card. So you can see I'm still dipping my stamp into the glue, making sure I have a nice thin coat so that I can then come in with the glitter to get some of the detail. But again, I'm not looking for all of it. What you do want to make sure as you're doing this is that you're cleaning your stamp off. You don't want the glue to dry on your stamp. Yes, you could probably pull it off, but if it should get into the nooks and the cranny of the stamp, it may not be so easy to clean. So whenever I'm using peg stamps, whether it's using glue with them or using inks, which is usually my Memento ink pads, which I love, the dewdrops, I always have one of my baby wipes sitting in the bowl where they sit so that they don't roll around on me or near me, so that I can quick reach for it and clean them off. Doing it that way, I have never had any glue dry on my stamp. Now again, I do like this technique most on rubber stamps. To me, rubber stamps are a lot more durable and they do have more detail. They can be cut differently than a clear stamp. Can you do the same thing with a clear stamp? Absolutely. And these peg stamps are perfect for these types of techniques, just to give that little bit of hint and a little bit of bling to your card. I did heat this with my heat tool just a little bit, very quickly, not long at all, because I did want that to be dry before we go on into the next step. So I really like this look. I grabbed my Faber-Castell Pitt pen. This is the small size, and I love to doodle. Even while I'm sitting here doing my voiceovers, I'm actually sitting here doodling. I just love to doodle. And sometimes when we look at those doodles, you never know what you're creating. So always look. But here, I just like to doodle. So I grabbed my pen, and I'm taking lines. I'm not worried about if they're straight. I'm just drawing these lines, and the short ones, I have them hanging off of the letter, so I'm coming up and putting a hook up there. Some I'm going straight to the top just to fill in that area to give it something. Of course, it's an odd number. Up to the top to make it look like they're hanging from something that's off the card. Again, it gives you movement. I am going over the line twice. I'm not worried about if I'm exactly right on that line again. Again, these are doodles. I'm going to add some little bows to the top of my ornaments. Again, freehand. It's okay. It's okay if it's not perfect. These are handmade cards. It's not Hallmark. So let it go. And I've said this to myself many, many, many times. And it took me a while to let it go. But I did it. And you know what? I enjoy crafting even more. Don't get me wrong, I love watching all of my favorite crafters out there. There are so many of you out there that inspire me. But that's it. I am inspired. And I no longer say, oh my God, this doesn't look like theirs. I've let it go. So sing it. It's fun. Not the Frozen version. No. Just make it one word. I used, back to the card, sorry. I used my vintage photo around the edge, again, to keep that vintage look. This is a piece of ivory cardstock that I'm using, and I'm going to prop this panel up using some of my fun foam. Now, I have both types of fun foam. I get it from my local craft store, which is Michael's, or AC Moore. They're literally right next to each other, so it's awesomely dangerous for me when I shop. Now, these just happen to have adhesive on one side, so I do remove the release paper and place it down, and I'm going to put my card panel down onto it because I didn't want to shift the glitter too much. It was still drying a little bit. Even though I used my heat gun, I'm sure there's still areas that were still wet. I'm just cutting a smaller sliver off so that I can just fill it in so that it's even. Remember, no one's going to see this. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is the 2-inch film tape that I use. I get mine from uline.com. There is 60 yards on this. I have had this forever. Yes, it's a little higher price, but boy, it's amazingly strong. So it's unforgiving. So you really got to know, when you're putting your panel down. There are some that are awesomely on a diagonal and not perfectly straight. So we have a creative position. That's what we call it, and that's what I've been told by my CPA group. So thank you for letting me know that. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Again, you can do a lot with these peg stamps. You will see more of these stamps within my Christmas series. You're going to see a lot of things in my Christmas series. I hope, of course, well, first let me say, all the products that I used, of course, will be linked down below. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I do hope that you are enjoying this series and all the different techniques that are out there, whether they're a little bit more intricate or down to the most simplest process to make something beautiful because you created it. So always keep that in mind. But remember, what is most important, one, like the video, hit the thumbs up, and also don't forget subscribe. But even more important than that, always be creative.